For the last like 4 years, I've been playing what I call Attenborough Attack, as in like
At
David Attenborough.
at the name sounds familiar, but remind me.
Oh, so like think Discovery Channel, like narrating animals in the natural habitat kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay,
Yeah,
sure. All right.
yeah. But this involves randomly, just out of nowhere, in like a David Attenborough accent, saying the lyrics of a song.
Okay.
And I do this to my wife, and just try and get a laugh out of her. When you get the chance, like just do it, just randomly out of the blue, and see if you can get a reaction from your wife. Like some songs work amazing for it, some not so well. But if you're gonna do it, you don't do it like constantly. It's got to be like do it once and then leave it because it's got to feel completely out of the blue.
Okay.
What are some good ones? Like a really good one for years. Like my favorite one, the best one, was Ariana Grande. What is that
Okay.
song? Stronger Than I've Been Before. I don't know like the full name of the song, but that's one of my wife's favorite songs, and so it works best with like her favorite songs because she knows the lyrics really well. So that one, for
Sure.
example, is this is the part where I say I don't want you. I'm stronger than I've been before.
Okay.
Messing with the tempo a bit as well, but obviously that accent helps a lot. So for years, I thought that was the best one, but I discovered one very recently that was even better. Amazing.
Okay.
Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Stacy, can't you see? You're just not the girl for me. I know it must be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom.
No, yeah, you're right. That one definitely.
Amazing, right?
That's good. Starting us off with Total War Warhammer 3, which was mine. Well, first off, what I gotta say is that one, I still can't believe that this worked on the Steam Deck.
You and me both.
I,
I don't think anyone
like,
saw
I
that
feel
coming.
like you defied the laws of the universe by getting that to work.
I also tempted
Um,
fate. Like for those who haven't
that
been
is
following
certainly
along,
true.
I bricked my deck. I keep saying bricked my deck. It wasn't bricked. The battery fried as a result of this game.
By this game, meaning
Oh, sorry,
Total
sorry.
War
Yes, it was
era.
Total War Pharaoh. Same series, not this one. This, yeah, which is
Yeah.
why both Stealthy and I were so surprised that first of all I was reattempting that because yeah, if it bricked the second one, the OLED deck, then that was on me, right? I could
Right.
completely see that coming, but then also the fact that it actually ran almost flawlessly. Like obviously the hardware specs aren't as high as you'd want for this game, so it's not going to run like
Mhm.
a cutting edge PC, but it ran like apart from that flawlessly in terms of doing what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I was also floored by the generous battery runtime. Like, wasn't it like 3 hours or something like that you
Yeah,
said?
yeah, it was decent,
I,
and I'm trying to work
what?
out why.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's now, did it say that it supported the deck or was unsupported?
unsupported.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I always try to get them running, or mind you, I'll try and get information to see first of all if that's a bad idea. Like for example,
Yeah.
Destiny 2 and getting banned from the game.
Right. Right.
If there's nothing to indicate no, you shouldn't be doing that, then I'll give it a go and just see if I can get it running.
Okay.
Having said that, though, like most unsupported games, I've had pretty decent luck.
No, yeah. I mean, certainly seems that way. Yeah, you find ways around it and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always constantly surprised when you're like, "Yeah, you were talking about one game," and it's like, "Whoa, I thought for sure there's no way you could have been able to play this."
Yeah, we've had a few like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, especially like the big,
Yeah.
like power hungry games as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anything that's like super graphically, like,
hmm
what was it last month, couple months back, the Atomic Heart.
yeah.
I did
Oh,
not think
that one
that
was
that could
good.
run on the deck.
That one was really
Yeah,
good.
and that ran really
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Before that, we
So
had one that didn't run as well, but the that cyber like futuristic. What do they call that genre? Like the it's set in the past, but it's all futuristic. I can't remember what that genre name is, but yeah. Oh goodness, that was the one where you're investigating. Do we need to do name that game this
We
soon
already needed to
for a
name that
recent
game
humble? All right, let's do it. Okay.
for a recent. Oh my
Jeez,
god!
this is not a good start.
Here we go.
Ready?
Yep.
Go. So it was in Humble Bundle. It's one where you're investigating like crimes, and you can rewind and watch it back to see what happened at the crime scene. It's lots of forensic
I know what
stuff.
you're talking about.
There's a whole bunch of puzzles. We are way over time.
It was.
We are well over time. No idea. Jeez.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I knew you'd
but
know
I don't
exactly
know
what I
the
was
name.
talking about, but
Oh my
what is
gosh. Yeah, we gotta look this up now. So
it was Nobody Wants to Die, but that was not on the tip of my tongue. That was not going to come out.
same here. Like like you said the name just now, and I'm like normally there'd be like, oh yeah, that was it. I I still am like, oh okay, if you say so, I guess that was what it was called.
Yeah. So maybe not so well titled. I think the gameplay was decent. But yeah. Regardless,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, we are way off topic. This is a June
yeah.
bundle. We're in November. Oh my goodness.
It was June.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warhammer 3. Warhammer 3. Yeah, anyways, so I played a bit more of this. I just continued playing the prologue. Like I thought that I would start a campaign, but I actually was enjoying the prologue. Like I wanted to find out like what was happening. Probably spoilers, but I'm pretty sure that the bear god that's talking to the guy is not actually the bear god, is actually one of those like demon lords or
Oh
whatever.
no.
Yeah.
So I was
So,
right. There were eventually demons.
oh yeah. That's what the whole thing, like they're up in like the what, the Chaos North, or like the Chaos Lands,
Yeah.
or whatever, where the demons are, something
Okay.
like that. So I'm fairly certain that it's not the bear god he's looking for.
This is not the bear you're looking for.
But yeah, I still stand by what I say in my review, that this has got to be the most accessible tutorial out of the entire franchise. Like it it really teaches the game pretty well. I mean, maybe a part of this is that I already know how to play Total War. Even minus the the extra, like the differences that might come from title to title, especially given that this is a fantasy, Total War.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still think that it does a really good job to kind of like ease the players in, to teach certain concepts as they come up, but also not at the point that it's so like glacially slow. Like it kind of like presents something, and then it gives the players some room to sort of like experiment on their own before they then kind of like, hey, here's another thing. So I think it does a pretty good job,
I'd have to
which is
agree.
pretty good, because I think Total War, for some, if not many people, has been like one of those sort of franchises that has been kind of intimidating to get into. Um, and I think that because of the popularity of the Warhammer spin-off series that Total War has done, along with the hype around the Immortal Empire campaign, that massive campaign map, I think that that's probably why they were trying to make something that would be more accessible to an audience.
Yeah. I have almost no experience playing Total War apart from that not so good experience for the Pharaoh one. I'd have to agree.
Right.
This was very accessible. I didn't feel overwhelmed like I thought I would be from this kind of massive, large scale battle with lots of obviously very deep tactics.
Right. I mean, it does obviously get to that large scale thing, but
Sure.
I think they did a really good job, especially with like limiting the map a bit, so you don't have to worry about so many things.
Yeah.
Even limiting the kinds of units that you have in the very beginning, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I have to worry about like a cavalry charge or something like that. And even in the battles, they did a good job, I thought, to sort of explain kind of rock paper scissors of
Hmm.
it all.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I mean yeah, I remember I got into Total War back with Medieval 2. Although
Okay.
the series had already been like I think the series was on Empire, which was that was like maybe the fourth or fifth
Okay.
game that they had made at that time. But I started on Medieval 2, and I only started playing it because a roommate of mine was into Total War, and he kind of like showed me the ropes of how to
Okay.
play the game. I think I was watching him play Total War Rome, the original Rome.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But yeah, so I've just played it ever since then.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, I mean everything about it too. Like I know there's like a it's so mired in controversy. CA, what's new? What's new in the AAA gaming sphere? Like big AAA company constantly putting their foot in their mouth. I
Yeah.
mean that's like just par for the course. It feels like, and like scummy DLC practices and
Yeah.
all that
Yep.
stuff. And I don't want to be so nonchalant about it and just like, oh well, it's not that big of a deal, because like obviously you kind of want to, like, you don't want the industry to go down this way.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, as far as the game goes, like, I had fun playing this game, and I'm pretty sure I will have fun playing this game when my aforementioned buddy who showed me Total War, when we get together and play a campaign. Um, and
Nice.
I was a little bit worried though that maybe it wouldn't be that great, because I never played Warhammer 2, which I guess was also rated very highly, but I did
Hmm.
play Warhammer 1, and I did think that it was a little bit overhyped,
Okay.
like compared to some of the historical titles I
Hmm.
had played. Like I felt that diplomacy wasn't quite as fleshed out, and the siege battles I thought were kind of like a step backwards. And this is the case for all three of them, but there are no naval battles in any of the Total War Warhammer games. Now,
Right.
the thing is naval battles in the Total War series has been something that's kind of A, hit or miss, and
Hmm.
B, sometimes present, sometimes
I
not.
see.
You'll get like games like Shogun 2
Hmm.
that had amazing naval combat, and then you get games like I don't know, like I didn't really much care for how naval combat was that much in like Rome 2. Although they did add in the ability to coastal attack and like have your boats go up on the beaches. So that was actually pretty
Oh, that's
cool. But
cool.
anyways, it's not present at all really in
Right.
Warhammer, and I'm so befuddled by that because literally in I think it was Warhammer 2, they introduced a vampire pirate faction.
Okay.
So how do you not have like, I guess I just wonder what naval battles could have looked like
Hmm.
in a fantasy world
Mm.
like, Warhammer.
It would have been fun. But I'm curious
Yeah.
though, like, is naval and navy kind of settings and themes that common in the Warhammer universe? If it's not, then I can understand it would be difficult.
Exactly. That's what I kind of wondered too, but when I found out there was a vampire pirate
Mm.
faction, kind of
Yeah.
made that kind of moot
Sure.
in my
Sure.
mind.
You would think for pirates
Um,
superior because it would be having a boat, but yeah. Who,
right,
I'm no expert
right,
on the
right,
topic, so who knows?
right. Who knows? But I mean, I guess there are boats in the game, but they act more. They're just like transports. It's just like
I
you.
see.
I'm pretty sure it's just like your army moves out of the water, turns into a bunch of transport ships, and
Okay.
that's that. But it's not quite, yeah. But anyways, I had fun with the game, and
Mm.
I think I think any fans of Total War probably will have fun with the game too. I
Nice.
mean, then again, I don't know. Maybe my criteria for what makes a good Total War isn't quite as rigorous as others, because I'm usually happy with every Total War game that I play.
Okay.
Some of them are better than others for
Well, of
sure,
course, that's gonna
but
happen.
I never walk away from a Total War game and think like, oh my gosh, that was horrible. I never think that.
Okay.
So another crab's treasure.
I think it's amazing we both had the exact same reaction to this game.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, amazing in that one that we both basically agreed how great it was,
Yes.
and amazing in two that I think you had a very similar reaction to me where we were both like, wait a minute, this
Yeah.
is a Souls-like game?
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely did not expect that at all. Like upon seeing some screenshots and
Mhm.
getting into the game, like especially with that sort of like, the little bit of humorous intro,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this is gonna be like that SpongeBob game we
Yep.
got like what last year or
That's what I
something
thought
like that. I
too.
was like, it's gonna be like that.
Yep.
And then when they were telling me like, oh, you have to dodge and things like that, like
Yeah.
I have to what now?
Yeah. I don't know the exact moment that I picked up, hey, this is Souls like. It's after the shell's taken. Maybe when the other crabs are attacking.
That was where it was for me when all the crabs are attacking you, and I was like, "This feels like a moment from like a Souls like where
Yeah.
you can't defend yourself and you just have to run
Yeah. And
or
that's
you're gonna
exactly what it
die."
was.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
And that slow realization. But having those like bright colors in that Souls like
It takes
mechanic
you
just
off
felt
guard.
so fresh. So
Yes.
good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like wacky characters.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely a nice change of pace from
Hmm.
that sort of like edgy, lonely, dark and gritty
Yeah,
kind of Souls-like experience that we're used to.
no
I
doubt.
mean, I am, I'm always down for that kind of Souls-like game, but this was, like you said, this was fresh.
Yeah,
It felt good.
yeah. The game does get a bit darker, just a
Okay.
little bit, but it's never to the point where okay, this is definitely like Dark Souls kind of territory. It's still got that zany kind of feel to it. I think the gameplay in general does help, especially removing things like that stamina bar. It doesn't feel as
Mhm.
oppressive. I think in the mechanics and how accessible the game is. I mean, sure you're
Yeah.
gonna die, but it doesn't feel brutal like a regular Souls like.
No. No. Yeah.
But then also another good point for it is or rather an aspect that I think manages to cleverly distance itself from regular Souls like is the characters as well. In Souls like, especially like Dark Souls 2, I'm thinking of in particular, you've got all these creepy characters. And they're just like at you as the character, like you're kind of curious about it and intrigued by it, but there's something creepy. There's something like off about all
Yeah.
these characters and the whole world.
Everybody's just a little bit unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas, like, all the characters here are definitely wacky. Some of them I would
Mhm.
say are unhinged, and the world like slightly does go a little bit unhinged, but it's never to the same point, and it still manages to keep that very light-hearted tone to the whole thing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, my brief experience was just that, like like the people, if they were unhinged in any way, it would be no different than like a character in SpongeBob being
Yeah,
unhinged,
yeah,
is what it felt like to
yeah.
me. Yeah.
One of my favorite encounters, I guess you could call it, early game, was the very first trap you come across. In fact, I don't think I've come across any other traps. But you've got this large, spiky sea urchin rolling downstairs, just like in Dark Souls 2, pretty early
Uh
on.
huh.
And then you get up top there. Obviously, Dark Souls 2, you have no idea what caused this boulder. No, maybe it is a bad guy, but like, it's a very sinister thing. Whereas opposed to this one here, like, someone accidentally dropped the sea urchin down the stairs.
Oh,
So mechanically, it has the
nice.
same effect, but in terms of how it's presented to the player, it's very lighthearted kind of thing. So it's yeah, I think just very
Right.
charming
Right.
way of doing that. Really.
Yeah, that sea urchin ball reminded me of. I mean, I'm sure it's been done a lot, but Elden Ring was the only one that I played through like completely,
Yeah,
and it reminded me of that staircase and gosh, what's the name of the school? Like Raya Caria or something like
I
that.
don't remember.
But the wizard school, but
Yeah,
when it's the staircase leading up to where you would end up facing off against the boss there,
right.
and it's basically just like these like summoners that are just constantly having this like oversized bowling ball go down the go down the stairs to just make your day miserable. Bottom line, though, I completely agree with you though about Another Crab's Treasure. Just that. the fresh vibe, the lighthearted vibe,
Mm,
really did a lot for this game, I think. Like, had this been like your typical, Souls-like,
mm.
I think you and I probably would have both just been like, yeah, it was fun, but it's kind of unmemorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all the mechanics and stuff. You're right. It's not that special. I mean, it does the same stuff, a
Yeah,
bit more accessible.
yeah,
It's presented at a lot of the things instead of magic. It's umami. Oh, I
yeah.
will say this: mechanically, the shell thing was very unique, and it actually
That's
does.
true. That's
It
true.
does go on. It's expanded on much. I wouldn't say much later, but as you progress through the game, it definitely is expanded upon. I'm currently. I think Steam is. It's a bit off. It's saying I've got 7 hours into it. I think it's probably closer to 6, but
Okay.
those shells
You put
there.
in a decent amount of
Oh
time then
yeah,
into
I couldn't
yeah.
put this game down. It was an amazing game. Like this was
Nice.
easily the best title for the whole bundle, in my opinion.
Nice. Okay.
But this one, yeah. So particularly the shells. So for example, obviously you come across a shell. It's got temporary durability points. As you
Mhm.
take damage, it goes down. You can actively block with it to reduce the damage that you as the character receive, but the shell itself is still going to get damage either way. But then you've got instead of yeah, so it uses that instead of armor. So you can swap out using the same build. You can go between the light, medium, and heavy dodge rolls, or
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of people call it the fatty roll for the if
Yeah,
you're
the
using heavy
fat
armor.
roll,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
And you can see that with all these different shells here as well. But then they've also got their own umami spells, which,
Okay.
for example, let's say you're using the source bottle top. That one there, for example, does like the spinny attack. You've got early on you get the fizzle one, which just shoots out all these bubbles. Don't do a lot of damage, but they home in and can interrupt certain enemies and can keep that unbalance count, or rather unbalance bar going, so you don't lose that.
Oh, right, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever it was called in
Well,
this
yeah.
game.
I'm sure they mentioned it
Poise
once
or
or
something,
twice.
yeah.
Yeah, but essentially
Yeah,
poise.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If it was a Souls, like
Yeah.
it'd be called poise.
Yep. Yeah.
But then also, you can eventually get shell endurance if you find the major town, which is like 3 hours into the game, I think. 2 to 3, depending on
Okay.
how well you're doing. Yeah, so with shell endurance, whenever you die and respawn, you start with whatever shell you've selected, as long as you have paid
Oh,
insurance
okay.
for it. So then that's when you start to, if you found a really good shell you like having, like I think pretty early on you can find the coconut shell, for example, then you can spawn in with that every time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. Yeah, like very, very gradually, all these new things are revealed to you or unlocked. They're so cool. So eventually, when you get to the moon snail, you get the skill tree, and along very far into the predator skill tree, you get an ability where if you use a charged attack on a shell, it goes on the end of your fork, and then all of a sudden your fork acts like a hammer instead of a sword.
Oh, that's
And so it's
cool.
obviously got slower attacks, but it's doing more damage, like significantly more damage.
Okay, that's cool. So it sounds like it kind of expands your gameplay options the further you get into the game, which I mean is to be expected, but that sounds pretty fun and it is pretty smart way of doing it to get the players, to understand what they lay out initially before giving them more things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Like if it was a Souls
Cool.
like, you'd
Cool.
get essentially a hammer straight up, right? You get like a choice of a
Right.
few different weapons, and you kind of stick to that for the most part. But you're right. This teaches the basics and then lets you branch out. Yeah. I also
Right, right.
like that it constantly changes up based on whatever shell you have. Obviously, you're gonna have a preference for what one you use, but if it's not available, you take whatever you can get. And that goes for obviously these skill trees. You don't have access to them. You unlock them, and as for example, get that hammer one, you're going to be using it more often. But you can opt not to use it and just go like sword, quick, faster attacks, right? Doing
Mhm.
less burst damage, but doing potentially more damage over time if you can keep getting the attacks in, and you can change that up completely on the fly, which is very unique to a Souls like. Usually you have to respec and find
You're kind of
specific
locked
armor.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. It is kind of like a challenging thing in some of these games where it's like, oh, you really want to experiment, but you can't really experiment because the process of like having to go respec and do all this stuff and is kind of annoying.
Massive grind.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Which is where I
yeah.
think a lot of the Souls likes usually get their gameplay time from. Whereas this one, you don't have the need for that. So I can totally understand now why it's got like, I think it's 17-hour average on how long to beat. So
Okay,
one
yeah.
seven, that wasn't very clear. Although, one thing I'm kind of curious about, did they ever explain how he keeps respawning? Or it just happens?
I don't think so. I think it just happens.
I think by that point, you know what the Souls like, and he has to come back, right? So, although
Yeah.
having said that, like Super Mario Brothers, him falling down a pit and then suddenly respawning there isn't explained either. So, video game logic, I think, allows you
Right,
to
right,
kind
right,
of
right, right.
let it go.
Yeah. And I think some Souls like they'll give a lore reason, and other times it's just like, oh, that's just
Yeah, just how it is. Yeah,
just how it is
yeah.
exactly. No More Heroes 3.
How did you go on this?
Uh, yeah, I definitely liked the game quite a bit and more than I expected.
Okay.
Um, like the just the overall story and weirdness
Mm-hmm.
and everything about that, like that usually would, I think usually that would be a turnoff for
Mm-hmm.
me. But like I just found it interesting. Like I'm not really sure why I did,
Mm-hmm.
but it was something that I thought it was compelling enough that I wouldn't mind playing through like the entirety of the series at
Mm-hmm.
some point. Um, and with all this time that I have to do things like that. But I definitely wouldn't mind playing it though,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't expect. Um, outside of that though, like the combat is very satisfying.
Mm.
I imagine it would feel so much better playing this on the Switch or playing the original ones on the Wii, just with the mechanic of recharging your beam weapon, or
Yeah,
I imagine even the directional slicing is also probably based off of the motion sensors in the
I'm pretty
controllers.
sure it was. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it feels like it feels satisfying to hit those like those like slices or finishing slices or whatever, and recharging at the right times in between,
Mm-hmm.
in between like a boss pattern or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, attack pattern. um but yeah, I just it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, I wish that I could play this on where what it was originally made for.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I was surprised that it had like a kind of open world aspect to the
Mm.
game. Um, to be honest though, I thought it was kind of unnecessary.
Okay.
Like driving around, it felt like the world felt pretty empty,
Mm-hmm.
and the points on the map just they just didn't really matter, many of them, because it was just like you go, oh, there's like a battle here, and then it just teleports you somewhere else anyway. So it's like, what was the point of me driving to this spot? Um, it had some like mini games to it as well,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of surprised me. That reminded me kind of like the Yakuza um
Yeah.
franchise,
Yeah.
with like all the mini games that the Yakuza games
Yeah.
have. Like what I did one where I had to pick up trash in like some, I don't know where the heck it was, but there was like these alligators that was just like hanging around, or maybe they were crocodiles. I can never tell.
Right.
But that you had to like wrestle if they ended up catching you, and then another one where you're just like literally mowing grass.
Yeah.
Just like that to me just felt like that's straight out of like Yakuza's playbook,
Yeah.
mowing grass. So yeah, I was surprised by some of the other stuff that it had in the game, but obviously the combat is where it's at, and the
Mm-hmm.
combat is really fun.
Mm.
Yeah, you mentioned before that you had played one of them before this,
Both
or
of
this, I
them,
can't
one
remember if
and
it's just
two.
okay.
I think they've kept everything that made the first two games amazing, which is all those geeky references to games and anime and like 80s movies
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
and kept it going. Even the first game, it actually had open world. That was very bare bones. That was like, what was the
Okay.
point in that? You literally drive out to the next fight, and that's it. I think from memory, but I remember
Yeah.
feeling like very underwhelmed. Like, why do they include that? In the second one, they
Hmm.
started to expand on that, and they had like more events, more things you could go and kind of get lost on
Hmm.
and get sidetracked for the main quest line that you're doing. But they had cool stuff too, like find the Dragon Balls or whatever they called them in the second game. I can't remember.
Okay.
And if you find all eight, you get a wish. But as you said, the core of this game is the combat, and it is done so well with the beam katanas, the
Yeah.
recharging. You've also
Yeah.
got the wrestling moves. The slot machine is a big part. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
second game they introduced that. Maybe it was in the first. I don't remember. But yeah, it's just combat's so satisfying with like all the bright lights and the spitting lights and money. Does money drop out in this one? I don't think it does.
You know what? I have never really. I've always had enough money if I was buying sushi, and that's all I ever used it
Right.
on. So I haven't. I didn't really pay attention.
In the second one, like you cut enemies and like money would go exploding everywhere. I think I could be remembering this completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the case.
I mean, at the end of every battle, you get stuff, but
Sure.
I don't remember cutting into people and money coming out. I think it's just blood
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
out.
Oh, that's the other thing. The game's pretty gruesome.
Yes, I did not expect that.
A lot of swearing as well, but it feels tasteful in this, or it doesn't feel out of place, rather.
No, no, it doesn't. I was surprised though by the kind of like bloody slash goriness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you get through the beginning and then it shows you that like that sort of like intro
Mm-hmm.
where like this kid is found this alien and it's just like, oh, Damon Daisuke. And I'm like,
Oh, you were doing it in Japanese.
okay.
I saw that in your review. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes. I was playing it. Yeah, I was doing it in Japanese,
yeah.
and I was just like, okay, what the heck? And then he comes back, and he's like some master criminal or something like that, wanted in
Yeah,
the galaxy,
yeah,
and yeah, they showed like the one scene where he like kills all of those like board meeting
yeah.
like board
With his
members or
hair. Yeah,
yeah, or like later on, like when they're he goes to go talk to Travis, and then Travis's one buddy comes out, and
yeah,
she ends up getting like taken down, and like
yeah.
her,
Shinobu. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
I'm just like, what?
yeah,
I did not expect that. What
yeah.
the heck? Yeah, yeah,
Very anime esque, like the whole thing. Even
yes,
for the first
yeah,
one as well. But it was always very like anime is very like I would say extreme in the stories. Like there's no way it's
yeah,
realistic. It's always taking things to the extreme. This goes even further. Like this is like very tongue in cheek. Like all the anime things like mashed up together and bam, 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 like one after the other. It's just over the top.
yeah,
It's done so well. It's entertaining always from start to finish for these games.
yeah, yep, yep.
And obviously, I'm not as far in the third one, but all the boss fights are just so unique in
Okay.
the different mechanics and what's going on. Like if you're talking about the bits you're on, then you've gotten through the first boss, but in that alone,
Yes,
you have like 3 or 4 different stages to go through, all very different.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. You like the base fight with him is like a couple. He has a couple phases, and then you have the bit where you're trying to like find him
Yep,
when you're going through the portals or
yep.
whatever, and then yeah, then you
Then
have
you
the
found him. Yep.
yeah, he
Yeah,
goes into his sort of like mech
yeah,
kind of suit that he
yeah.
has. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for this series, like the boss battles are the bread and butter. It's what it's all about. It's about climbing the ranks.
Okay.
And as a result of that, each of the boss battles are designed so well and very well thought out. So you're in for a wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seemed that way. Like after you beat the first boss, then it's like, oh, galactic ranking, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, it's one of these kind of like
yeah.
anime stories. Like, okay, okay,
I will say that like I like the whole like ET comes back and enslaves humanity and he's a jerk
Yeah.
basically. But I do kind of miss the old school, like you're an assassin climbing the ranks. It all starts because he decides he'll buy a beam katana off of the internet. It's like, well, let's buy it and see if it works. And it turns out it actually does work. And then I don't remember. I'm fuzzing all the details, but somehow like winds up becoming an assassin and climbing the ranks.
Oh, okay, okay. That's funny.
So
Yeah.
I do kind of miss that, but it's not to say that I dislike this as well. I do think it's quite
Sure.
entertaining, and I'm curious to see where it goes.
Sure, sure. Yeah. It's definitely made me, like I said, it's made me want to play the 1 and 2, which I guess are actually on Steam, so I
One
can
is
actually
definitely on
do that.
Steam. I saw that before. Two, I'm assuming
Yeah.
is
Yeah, yeah. It is. I saw it the other day when I was like looking it up. So yeah, it's like, oh yeah, cool.
for controller. I'm pretty sure you could use Switch controller. Well, you can definitely do it for Steam OS. I'd assume you can connect it up to a PC and just do that. I'm
Oh,
curious whether it actually does the motion controls. If it does, then that might be the way to play this game. Definitely
yeah,
the
that's
first one or
true.
two, but I mean,
Yeah.
even this one as well. You can see he's got a Switch controller for a glove on his hand, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. This one I guess was made for the Switch.
I'd assume so.
I don't know if it was I don't know if it was like um made at the turn of the console generation or like the new console generation or
hmm
not. So maybe it was also released on the Wii U as well, but
Oh, I see. Yep, yep.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I it definitely was for the Switch
hmm
because yeah, definitely the like his yeah, this thing on his hand or something is a Switch controller.
Yep.
Etrian Odyssey HD.
Now I'm not a JRPG guy.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about that before. You and I both, really. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that was not going anywhere. I was just saying I'm not a JRPG guy. How do you feel about first of all, like first-person dungeon crawlers?
So I thought that it was kind of funny that we got a dungeon crawler this month when we literally were talking about them last month because of Crypt Master.
hmm
Um, and the only dungeon crawler that I ever actually really played was just Legend of Grimrock.
Yep, amazing
Legend
game by
of
the way.
Grimrock. Yeah, I actually did like it for the most part, but I did stop playing that because I got stuck on a puzzle. So it wasn't the gameplay itself; it was the puzzle got too difficult, and I just was
Yep.
like, nope, I'm checking out.
Yep, I was the same.
But it seems like Etrian Odyssey though doesn't really have any puzzles. It's just do the battles and get better.
Yep.
And yeah, I so one thing that I will say is if we're comparing Legend of Grimrock to Etrian Odyssey, I like the way that combat is done in Legend of Grimrock a lot better than how it's done in Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the sort of first person JRPG
hmm
battles. Like I never liked how it was done in like those early Dragon Quest games, and I
Yep.
don't really like how it's done here in Etrian Odyssey. I think
Yep.
it's to me, I think it's kind of lazy, quite
Yeah.
honestly. But
It
yeah,
makes that essentially that Excel sheet visible to the player, and you don't want that in a game. You don't want to
right.
see the numbers and the stats working.
Right, right. And it's not really that much of a not that much of a visual treat. Like even in like something like I don't know, like you go play like even like an old Final Fantasy game, you'll see like the characters lined up on the side and they'll like cast a
Yeah.
spell or do a
Yep.
jump, like the dragoon like, hop over or something like that.
Yeah.
And here you don't really get that. You see like a little like slash decal appear on the screen to show like, oh yeah, they attacked or something like that, and it's very meh. I don't really care for
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But yeah, as far as like just the gameplay goes, I understand why people would like it, but I don't think it'd be something I could stick with. And judging
Yep.
from your question, it doesn't seem, and what you said in your review, it
Mm.
doesn't seem like this was anything for you at all.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like it's a cartography game, or you have to map it out yourself. Like that's pretty cool. But it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. If the combat or the dungeon crawling RPG side of it was like solid, really good, then I think that'd be okay. That'd be fine. I'd put up with it, but it's not. And so you've got this like unique but really menial kind of task that you have to do as a player as half the game. The other half is a pretty average first person RPG. And yeah, as a whole, it just the game just can't really hold itself up that well.
Yeah.
Although I am curious, like you were using mouse and keyboard, so did it control better from mapping with a mouse?
I actually wasn't. I was using a controller.
Right. Okay.
I did think that the controls didn't really feel that good on the control.
No.
Eventually I did kind of start getting used to it.
Yeah.
But obviously, the whole cartography system
Yeah.
in its entirety was developed for the DS in mind.
Yeah.
And I guess like the 3DS for later iterations of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes complete sense. It would
Yeah.
work like so well on that device, but not. Yeah, I think you're right. Like not here. I
Hmm.
think as a mechanic, I thought it was actually pretty because it's that callback to those old dungeon crawlers of old where you had to like pull out
Mm.
a sheet of paper and draw it by
Yeah.
hand, and I
Yeah.
thought it was a cool way to kind of like split the difference.
Sure.
Um, but you're right. I think that the controls could be better.
Yeah. How you'd go about doing that on a controller, I have no idea, but the solution that they gave us was not it.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't actually try playing this with mouse and keyboard though because I think I attempted to like even just use the keyboard or like mouse and keyboard on the like main menu and it wasn't working properly or something, so I just was
Right.
like I'm
Okay.
just going to use a controller. So my guess is that it's probably not really that great.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But yeah, I think the probably the most satisfying thing out of this whole game is basically just the seeing your progression with like your band of heroes and
Hmm.
getting stronger. But that's not going to be something that will be worth it to me in the long run since
No.
exactly like you said that like there's we don't really have that great of a story from what little bit I got to see.
Yeah.
There needs to be more intuitive gameplay, like some things were quite confusing.
Hmm.
And just it just overall would need to be more fun. Like if I want to play something where I want to see progression of my characters, there are so many other games I could choose from that would be
Yeah.
a lot better than
Yeah.
this.
Much more satisfying. Yeah.
Like I didn't mind it. Like I was sort of enjoying myself by the end of my hour, but it's definitely not something I could see myself playing
Mm.
long term. I think I would burn out of it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Probably it would happen with like a complete party wipe. Like all I would need is one time where I don't manage to make it back to the surface and then I'm like, all right, uninstall.
Yeah. I think a lot of successful RPGs have obviously the narrative, but also those like character arcs, and you see these characters overcome some kind of personal demons or difficulty or whatever, and then
Mhm.
grow as a character,
Mhm.
and you that's completely taken away from this game. The characters have no way to grow beyond their numbers just because they're characters you create. There is no story for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always kind of like a thing when they let you have that level of control. Like it reminded me a lot of like Final Fantasy 3, the actual Final Fantasy 3, not Final Fantasy 6, which they labeled as 3 in the West.
Okay.
So in that one you get like these four and I actually played I played the DS version of that, which so
Okay.
they actually gave just a little bit more of like a backstory to each of these four characters. In the original Final Fantasy 3, no, there was none of that. You had like all four characters right away and they didn't really have any backstory at all. But but after that, like basically you just assigned them a job. Like it was the first game that had introduced the job system in the Final Fantasy franchise. And so you just constantly like shifted out of the jobs, and that was like, oh, it was really cool because you could kind of like have them do whatever you want and seeing them like improve and stuff like that. But they had no character development at all
I
throughout the whole
see.
game. And actually, I have a funny story with that is I had originally played Final Fantasy VI, which was of course called Final Fantasy III,
Right.
on at my cousin's house. And I really liked it. And when I found out that they were making a DS version of Final Fantasy III, I got super
Mm-hmm.
excited. And because
Mm.
I like, you've played Final Fantasy VI before, or at least know of like the opening where they're like walking in the mechs, like in the snow, and they're going to this like mining town. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like that's a pretty easy, like vivid, thing to remember. And when I got Final Fantasy III on the DS and started playing it, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what I remember. It's like maybe I just got to get a little bit further. Maybe I'm just gonna, and then I kept on getting further and further,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
expecting that the story would actually start, and it never did. And then
Yeah.
I found out the whole like numbering issues that it was in the West versus in Japan, and
Right.
I was incredibly sad with that purchase.
Understandably, yeah.
Pharaoh, a new era. So, okay,
This is
yes,
where we differ
yes.
very much in our reviews.
I think I started coming around a little bit more to your view with Pharaoh after going playing it again. That said, I have to ask you first,
Okay.
did you grow up playing any of the Impressions city builders?
No, I didn't, and I think that's what the big difference
I
was.
think that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that this was, a good remaster of like a beloved
Hmm.
classic game. Granted, I never played this game when I was younger. Like I said in my review, I played Caesar 3 primarily and a bit of Caesar 2, but they're very similar. And I definitely
Sure.
had a bit of nostalgia glasses on when playing this game.
Hmm.
But like going back to it though, and being a bit more objective about it, there were definitely like some things that one thing was, I think you kind of mentioned it too, like the UI.
Yeah.
It I guess it's an improvement from the UI that it originally had back in the day. And I imagine this, like, more experience with the game, I won't have this problem as much. But I found it super annoying having to click through basically all the buttons on the side to find that one building that I wanted to place because I didn't know where it
Yep.
was. That was so annoying. And then I think some other things that, maybe that felt a little bit off. Like I'm not really sure if dated is quite the right word, but maybe like modern city builders have probably done things like this better. But like when you get further in, you get missions where you actually have to meet certain ratings
Right.
for culture, monument, kingdom, and prosperity values. And those first three, pretty easy to get. Like you're either just building certain kinds of buildings or you're like fulfilling shipment orders for the Pharaoh to get your kingdom rated. But prosperity though, that one was a bit of a pain, I thought. Like um in order to have your prosperity rating raise is that you need to you need to not be in debt, so obviously. But you also need to keep your unemployment in check, and that was incredibly difficult. Um, because what you end up doing is like you need to kind of like tweak your population to where like you're providing for your people, and then those houses evolve, and then all of a sudden a whole ton of people move in, and now you're back with like this 40-50% unemployment rates, and
Right.
you're like, oh,
Okay.
now I need to go build a whole bunch more
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then it improves all these other houses, and then more people rolls in. I got lucky. What had happened was I on the map I was playing, I never quite had enough food to feed everybody. So I would have a period where I'd have the harvest come in, the food would all go out, all my houses would evolve, and
Hmm.
then a bunch more people would move in. But then before it could get to the next harvest, they would all run out of food, but the bazaars wouldn't have any more food to give to the houses anymore.
Right.
So you'd have like a mass exodus of people leaving town and the houses would all devolve.
Right.
And
Okay.
so what I was doing to try to combat that was I was building more farms.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I had like a shipment order that I needed from the Pharaoh for chickpeas, which was the only food that I had available for that particular mission.
Hmm.
And at first I was like, oh, tough luck, buddy. You're not getting my chickpeas because otherwise I won't be able to feed my people.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait
Wait a
a
second.
minute. If I don't feed my people, then they'll all leave,
Yep.
and then I don't have unemployment issues
Yep.
anymore.
That is a
Which,
scary parallel for real life.
right, it
We don't
just
feed the
means
people. They, let's say,
they leave.
They leave this world, and then unemployment
Right,
solved. So, yeah.
right. There we go. There we go.
Wow.
But yeah, it revolved. A lot of it revolved around me just like tweaking things and then going at the fastest available speed, waiting
Right.
for my prosperity score to go up.
I
And
see.
I feel like whenever you have to fast forward, especially to that level in
Hmm.
a city builder, I don't feel that's fun to me. Like
No.
I really don't like doing that. Um, and yeah, so that was kind of like I was like, maybe this, maybe we can learn some things here from this older city builder. That said, though, like some things I did like was Pharaoh added in the inclusion of like roadblocks, which wasn't
Yes.
present in Caesar 3. So I thought that was really cool. Because managing your walkers is super important in impression city builders.
Okay. Yeah.
So that actually was like quite nice to
Mm.
have that. I was talking to a friend about it, and he had voiced surprise as well, and he was like, "Yeah, it was almost like a cheat mode or
Mm.
something to have the roadblocks." And um, it almost is. I mean, there's a bit more nuance than that, than just like easily placing roadblocks everywhere, but
Hmm.
it was it did make things easier because like I remember in Caesar 3 you had to like delete parts of roads if you didn't want people to go down certain areas
Oh wow. Okay.
and things like that. But another thing too that the remaster did that I thought was a good move was they had an option where you can change the way your buildings would get workers. Like you would either use the recruiter method, which was what it was in the original game, and that's how it was in Caesar 3.
Hmm.
Basically, you place a building down, a recruiter walks out and tries to find nearby homes to then supply the workforce
I see.
for that building. Or you could use a global workforce, um, the global workforce option, which is just as long as you have people, then your buildings are automatically like you have employees
Okay.
for them, which I thought that was like a nice change. It's a way to be a bit more accessible for people who maybe didn't grow up playing these games, so
Yep.
they could actually play them and get through the missions, because sometimes it does get kind of challenging to decide where you're placing neighborhoods and whatnot, and making sure that recruiters can actually find these places to find workers
Mm.
for these buildings. So yeah, I thought that was a good change. But
Okay.
overall, though, I completely understand why, especially someone who didn't play these games before,
Yeah.
might find these games kind of archaic,
Yeah.
because they kind of are.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
kind of are. Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't think it helped I was playing it on Steam Deck. And so those things like
Oh,
menus
that's true.
is going to be even more
Mhm.
frustrating, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I mean, and especially because like I'm sure people with the remaster, they probably weren't really thinking of playing it that way. They were just
No.
remastering it for a PC
Yeah.
audience because that's what it originally
Yeah.
was for. Synergy.
So we had two city builders, first of all, in the same bundle, which is very rare, very unusual,
Yep.
and pretty similar overall, I would say. I'm curious why they did it also back to back as well in the bundle. Most people, I assume, are going to go through, kind of like myself, and do it in order. Interesting choice. I'm not sure why they would want to do that.
Honestly, I think those two city builders plus throwing in Total War Warhammer
Mm,
3, like I don't know that that was a smart move on Humble's part.
right.
Cuz like now you're making it a bundle that either people are going to definitely want or they're going to not want.
Yes, it's going to be
It
very
seems a
divisive.
lot of the times when we get a slightly more like strategy heavy or literally anything that's very kind of like one genre heavy
Yes.
kind of bundle, it's very dividing
Yeah.
for people.
That's a good point. It was the January bundle, I think, where they did Against the Storm and Jagged Alliance 3 and all
Right.
of these like strategy games, like turn-based stuff. Not that Against the Storm is turn-based, but all these strategy games. And most people were like, "Yeah, it's pretty average one." And
Yep.
recently, someone said, "Oh wow, this is the best bundle we've had since the January
Yeah,
one." I'm like, "Wow,
exactly.
okay,
You'd get stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
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 you'll get people who are like, "Oh yeah, this was a great bundle," and you'll get just as many more people will be like, "Wow, this was a horrible bundle."
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I guess that's true for like any month, but I think especially on months like these where it's kind of like it's kind of like a one-sided kind of
yeah,
bundle. I mean, I think the fact too that like I said before, Total War is just kind of like intimidating. It's like when
yeah,
we get something like Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis or any
yeah."
any of the like especially those types of games, those Paradox Grand
Yeah,
strategies, like
absolutely.
that's not going to be turning
No,
heads,
there's a lot to
even if
take in.
you know, yeah, way too much.
Yeah. And as a slight segue back onto topic, I feel like Synergy did a great job of introducing players to the mechanics and slowly easing them into the how to play the game and the world.
On that, I'll agree with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think they did do a really good job. And they even did it in a way that was kind of narrative friendly as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job
Mm.
with that. And just a note like on the narrative aspects. I think I mentioned in my full review that there were some things that I thought like didn't make any sense, but on a whole the writing I thought was fairly interesting.
Mm.
Like for like the different events that you could have like when you're sending off
Yeah.
expeditions
Yeah.
and just the overall scenario uh um writing. I did think that was pretty decent.
Yeah. So what didn't you like about this title then?
That's yeah, like I said, I wrote up like a bunch of notes because I was like I had to re-listen to my review because couldn't quite remember. And as I started listening back, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I think the first thing was so you mentioned that the animations were quite nice
I
for the
liked them.
game.
Yeah.
I really liked them too. Actually, like at first, I wasn't really into the art style
Okay.
that much, but over time it grew on me to
Mm.
where I did actually quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
And the animations, yes. The animations were good, like, constructing the stuff, seeing them working in their various like buildings.
Mm-hmm.
That was all really well done. I do think though that they could have done a little bit more. Like I couldn't help but feel like like things that you would place down the sun awnings or like the benches or anything like
Yeah.
that. They're not used at all. And I guess the same could be said for Pharaoh cuz when I wrote this review, I was thinking specifically of Anno 1800
Okay.
and that game has a lot of different animations of people going about
Yes.
doing their
Yeah.
lives, which is really well done. But also have to consider that I'm sure Synergy was made by a much smaller
Mm-hmm.
team. And all these are obviously like hand drawn, I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming. So that would be quite a bit of work. And Pharaoh could be said to be similar in that they just have like the animations in their buildings. They don't even have the buildings being constructed. You just place them.
Yeah.
I think where Pharaoh is different than Synergy is because of all the various different walkers that they have that come out of the buildings that
Right.
start making the place more lively.
Yes. Yep.
And then on that note, Synergy is really kind of quiet.
Mm.
Like in comparison, like Pharaoh has a lot of different sound effects
Mm-hmm.
for various
Mm-hmm.
buildings and the people walking around and things like that to kind
Yeah.
of help with this this immersion that you're like actually building a city, whereas Synergy didn't really have very many sound effects at all from what I remember. It was just kind of like the background track for the most part
Yeah,
and
you're
some
right.
ambient.
And even then, it wasn't a lot of sound for the background track. I remember like doing the editing for my video, and I could see all the waveforms on the track there as I'm going through. But then I come across these ones. I'm like, was it recording the sound properly from the game? Like, what is
Oh,
going
right,
on?
right.
And so, and I do have it like down much quieter. First off, I do everything muted when I'm editing, so I just have my voice. And then I do the ducking, and so it's much quieter as I'm going through. I'm like, was the sound there? And so this is on my final run through, my making sure everything's okay. I boosted up to make sure there is actual sound for the game there, and there is. So it's just a very quiet game as a whole.
Right. Right, right. And I think they could have done a lot of different things. Like, because it wasn't until I played Synergy and did that review that I realized just how much those sounds add to making it feel like you're building a city.
Right, and there are
Um,
people living in it, and yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
it's quite something. Like even just to compare to Pharaoh, since it was in the bundle.
yeah.
Like you start with like this barren land, and then you
Mm-hmm.
like putting in the houses and then the temples
Yeah,
and then all this stuff, and then
yep,
all of a sudden there's this cacophony of noise.
yes,
Um, and yeah, Synergy just doesn't have that.
quite right.
Then moving on from that, I really disliked the sort of like prosperity score and housing satisfaction levels. Because at the end of the day, it's literally just make number go higher, and
Mm.
there was no other gameplay element to it. At least when I played, maybe they changed it. I didn't get a sense of that in the hour that I played. Sometimes you'll have objectives that will require you need to have, X number district score,
Mm-hmm.
you need to get to X number prosperity score. And so, yeah, I guess you could argue that that's part of the gameplay loop. And you could also say that Pharaoh also has arbitrary numbers that you need to meet in the form of their ratings.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they're tied better to the overall gameplay loop. Like those scores in Pharaoh, they're tied to what the player does and how well they manage their city. Like in the case of like, yeah, making sure that you're not going in debt and stuff like that versus Synergy. Basically, all those scores were based off of what buildings you had, like in your districts or stuff like that, to raise your overall scores. And then as far as like prosperity, they had the housing satisfaction. And in like in other games, like not just Pharaoh, but even like say like the Anno series, you would have like these various houses would have certain needs that need to be met so that they can then be upgraded to the next house, or whatever, and that would come with various other benefits, and then various other requirements that you would need going forward, involving more complex production chains, blah blah blah.
Right.
But in like here, it once again, like it just made this number go up, and it didn't
Mm-hmm.
really matter if that number was low or if it was high.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, like I like at the time that I reviewed the game, it was early access, so I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure if maybe they were gonna do something with that. I don't think that they did, and now I do understand that that wasn't really meant to be the case. They wanted it to be like, yeah, can you get like see if you could beat your personal best on this particular
I
map,
see.
and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's definitely not something for me. Like
Mm.
I'm not somebody who will try to keep on getting like a higher score. Like once I beat the game, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't help but feel that there were so many things in the game that just were kind of pointless.
I see.
What was your take on any of that?
For me, like I don't do a whole lot of city builders. I find that can be very
Okay.
overwhelming, and I felt this was like more accessible. Maybe that's because it didn't have all these things there that were much beyond. It's a number. See, like if you can get it high, if you don't, yeah, it's all right. Which it does
Mhm.
make it less daunting and more accessible for a player. But I can definitely see why that would be annoying if you want that integration. And it sounds like from all the stuff, for example, not having animations of people sitting on benches, you want to make it feel like your city is being lived in. essentially.
Mhm. Yeah.
Whether that's, me as a gamer though, like looking for something lighter and less daunting, or whether that's me using Steam Deck as a medium to play the game and having that affect what I'm looking for in the game. Yeah, I don't know which one that is, to be honest. Maybe it could be a combination of both. Which, is like I said before, probably why I didn't enjoy Pharaoh anywhere near as much as play someone on PC would, because it's not as accessible when you're doing it on a Steam Deck on the smaller screen
Right.
using trackpad.
Right, right. Yeah, and I had kind of thought that maybe that had been the case. Like you like the more accessible nature of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you hadn't played as many city builders because yeah, you'd mentioned in your review that you found the game to be like relaxing,
Yeah.
and I think that is what they were going for here.
Okay.
But like a part of me still kind of wondered if like that's exactly what they were going for,
I
or if
see.
they just kind of missed the mark and just kind of fell
Yeah.
into this sort of boring feeling that I get when I'm playing it. Because that was another thing, another critique that I had made in my review
I
was that
see.
like everything just felt so easy.
Yeah.
Like once you get your productions up and running, you basically don't really have any challenge at all, other
I
than
see.
maybe if you have a really long stint of dry season and you
Yeah.
start running out of water.
Right.
But outside of that, there's no like random events that
Yeah.
happen there. So like, like to compare it once again back to Pharaoh,
Hmm.
like Pharaoh will have things like you need to, balancing supply and demand with the various like trade routes,
Hmm.
things like sourcing your material across the city, like to make sure various neighborhoods have stuff like that, have different resources. And then, like things like, needing to meet demands set by the Pharaoh, like,
Hmm.
oh, they suddenly want like a whole bunch of chickpeas, like I mentioned.
Hmm.
Well, do you have the stuff to send within the time period? And that could affect like your city as well, because
Mm.
now you don't have the chickpeas. Well, now people aren't getting fed.
Yeah.
Obviously, that worked out for me.
Hmm.
But then they have like other things like if you don't continually build, if you're not making sure you're keeping up with the appeasing the gods, it
Yeah.
could result in like like
Yeah.
disease breaking out or things
Yeah.
like that. And Synergy just didn't have really any of that. Like the most they had, I
Mm.
would say, was probably like the expeditions, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you just get a bad roll.
Yeah.
That's probably you know
Yeah.
the most it really had,
Yeah.
which that again wasn't something that I really quite cared for, especially
Yeah.
given that you're supposed to be building this colony, surviving on this kind of like harsh world,
Yes.
learning how to survive.
That's a good point.
Um,
Yeah.
it felt weird to just have it be like, just chill back and don't worry about
Very
it.
low stakes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of was curious what you thought about the whole mechanic surrounding the plants, because that was like the unique feature of the game. I thought
Mm.
that was like the most unique thing it brought to the table.
Oh, it was very good. I enjoyed that. And I think without that, it might have been a very mediocre city builder.
Yeah. I definitely well, I mean I kind of still think it's a mediocre city builder, but I think that is why I still feel like I could kind of recommend it, is because
I
of
see.
and now I do think that it could have been thought out a bit better. Like I
Hmm.
thought that my like researching the plants was a cool idea. Like you're learning about these plants and like how to use them.
Yeah.
Um but I felt there was too many instances where my researcher was just kind of like sitting around twiddling their thumbs because
Yes.
he or she
Yeah.
had nothing to research because they had already did it all.
Yeah.
And I just thought that maybe pacing on that could have been a bit better, or maybe
Yeah.
have like expand the mechanic just a bit more.
Hmm.
And then they also allow you to modify the environment later on, where you could plant like
Oh,
certain
wow.
things have like symbiotic relationships, like
Yep.
certain plants next to one another.
Which is why it's called synergy.
Yeah,
There you go. Ah.
exactly. However, in the scenario that I played,
Mm.
because everything was so easy and
Yeah.
I could provide for everything,
Yeah.
I never felt the need to ever explore that.
Okay.
Now I will say on that note, that may just be because I was playing on the first scenario. Now there's like what? There's like three scenarios and many, many free play maps.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not really maybe that's not really that big of a critique anymore, because maybe
Okay.
some of the other maps are quite challenging,
Yeah.
as far as like needing to manipulate the environment. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I thought that was probably the most unique thing. And if they ever made a Synergy 2 or something like that, like
Mm.
I hope that they could take what people have said about their game to sort of like shore up certain things that maybe weren't quite as good,
Hmm.
and then like really like yeah, really like double down on that mechanic, because I don't think I've seen anything quite like it in
Mm.
any other city builder games. Spin Hero.
No, I think we should be congratulated very much because we have found the new worst bundle game, Spin Hero.
I I will only agree with you on that when we look back at all the games at the end of the year, because I can't say that for certainty that this is the worst one, but it's
Okay.
definitely got to be one of the worst ones. Yes,
Okay. So
for sure.
for me right now, or maybe we should save this. We should save this for a special. Like look back and see what the worst games were from each bundle.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's do
Definitely,
that.
definitely,
Let's not
definitely.
get ahead of ourselves. Okay.
Talk about-
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably you probably might be right,
Mm.
but since I can't remember what the games were in past, obviously, as you know from our name that game, I couldn't even remember something back in June.
See, I think I'm really good at remembering bad games. Good games,
Oh,
like
okay.
I'm terrible at remember the name. I remember like the mechanics, that kind of stuff. The bad games, because I think the mechanics it's just like so little to remember. I think I remember the names, the titles quite well. I have a very clear image in my mind of at least what I thought was the worst game we've received in the bundle to date. But this, yeah, either way, this is a very close contender with that one. Interesting enough, both roguelites.
Okay, okay.
And also gives the player very little control of what they're doing. It's very much the game plays itself. So
Yes,
yeah,
This, yeah.
yeah,
You know what? I think maybe I know which one you're talking
yeah. I think you
about.
do. So anyway, let's save that for another day. But yeah, so that was the big issue I had with Spin Hero. And I'm okay with roguelites. I'm totally fine with it.
I'm kind
But
of okay with roguelites.
yeah. I know you don't generally like them as a whole, but I'm okay with the RNG, and I'm okay
Mhm.
with having that very slow progression, unlocking stuff. I don't have access to everything from the get go. If the
Mhm.
gameplay is good, but the gameplay wasn't good. In fact, there is no gameplay. The
Yes.
thing, as you pointed out, spins itself if you set it up to do it automatically.
Yep.
So all you're doing is choosing what upgrades you get, and that's it.
Yeah. Like essentially, what do you want to add to your deck?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
to your will, but then not choose when to play it or how to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
Like that's the difference between like a deck builder roguelite,
yes,
which I'm not really the biggest fan of those, and this. Like,
yeah,
I would take a deck builder roguelite any day of the week
100%.
over Spin Hero.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much, you pretty much said it. Like, there's really not a whole lot to say about the game because there's just not a whole lot there.
no,
You click spin, you set it up to auto, and you walk away for a few minutes. Like I said in I literally was making dinner while I had this game going
wow, I didn't know
because
you
I
could do
just
that. Yeah,
yeah, I
but
just couldn't be bothered to just sit around
and
and
play
yeah,
it.
like they even have it where you could set the speed, so you
Oh
could have it
wow,
like auto spin, and you could have it auto spin really fast so that it could
oh
go at like
wow.
×5 speed. I just let it go on like ×1 speed when I walked away because
Mm-hmm.
but when I would sit down, I turned it back up to turned it up to
Yep,
5 times speed
that
so
makes
that I wouldn't
sense.
have to so that I could get to the only real choice I had, which was again deciding what to throw into my set of symbols that I had, because that's the game.
Yeah,
That's it right there. I mean, really, the game could be summed up in like one word: yawn.
yeah, pretty much.
Yawn.
There is one genre that does something similar, but I think it's still enjoyable. Obviously, some people aren't going to like it, but auto battlers.
Right.
You choose your, let's say, warriors. So you choose your
Mhm.
warriors, but you get to choose where you put them on the field. You then
Yeah.
also try and go through and get the same ones to level them up
Yeah.
or evolve them or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Also, you
Yep.
can find items to equip them. Items can often be combined and evolved, and so it feels like you have a lot more control over the game and what's happening, even though the core of it is playing itself. But
Yes.
there's a lot of depth to that strategy. But this one doesn't have that.
No.
It doesn't even allow you to choose where you place it on the spinner. And even that would be a massive improvement over what it's doing now. But it's literally just playing itself. It's like, what's the point of playing a game if that's the case?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, like I could see this as a second screen kind of game, but once
Even
again, I
then,
mean, there's better games you could play as a
yeah,
second screen game. Like
100%.
you don't need to do that. You don't need to play this.
No. Even like the other stuff, like every enemy felt the same. And then the music looped over and over.
Yeah.
The background environment was the exact same for that world or location, whatever you call it. But for that
Yeah,
entire map, yeah,
yep, yep, yep.
just
Yep.
such a mediocre game.
I wouldn't even say mediocre.
No, you're right. It's shovelware. For me, that's like cursing, but yeah.
Yeah, it feels like something that would be like for a mobile audience or something, quite honestly. Like I don't know, like for somebody who doesn't really want to play a game but has like but has those like types of games installed on their phone or something like that. Yeah. We get stinkers like this every now and again, so
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I do enjoy reviewing bad games. They make for some fun scripts and fun videos, but
it just reminded me. I mean, we were already talking about it, but we talked about like doing like a worst games of like what we thought our worst picks were, and then like playing them.
No, let's not play them. Not play them.
I don't know that I want. I don't know that I want to replay them.
No, we talk about them and not replay them. I think that's the way we do it.
Paleo Pines.
Were you pining after this game?
No, no.
No.
I wasn't even really that much but now definitely no.
Oh wow, got even worse.
Yeah, it did. Okay, so like I told you, I took this one because I was like, oh, I'll go play it with my daughter,
Right?
And I did.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with that. So two things she liked, one thing she didn't like.
Okay. Yep.
She liked the dinosaurs.
Yep.
Of course.
Of course.
She liked being able to explore around.
Yep.
But that's not something exclusive to this game. It's just something she likes to do in games.
Yep.
But she liked it.
This game has it.
And then one thing she didn't like was she thought that the town was boring.
Yes.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And mind you, this is coming from a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So she went into that town, which is all colorful and smiling people and all that, and she thought it was boring.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah. Mind you, you have started her off on Stardew Valley. That's like her early entry into these farm sims.
Right.
That's like going from a 40-year-old Yamazaki whiskey to a 39-year-old Yamazaki whiskey, like completely different.
Right.
No, I'm just making that up. I have no idea if that idea is going to be a big difference. But
I just assumed you knew what you were talking about.
No, I just tried to sound like I knew what I was talking about and just making stuff up here.
I mean, that's certainly true. The funny thing is, though, is I kept asking her. I was like, "So which one do you like?" She kept saying like she liked both of them. She liked Stardew Valley and she liked Paleo Pines. And I was like, "Oh, which one do you like better?" And she's like, I like both of them though.
Okay.
Because she's not quite at that point yet where she could say, like, she thinks that if she likes something better than something else, it means that she doesn't like the other thing.
I see.
So I couldn't get her to say that she liked Stardew Valley better than Paleo Pines. But, in time, it will become perfectly apparent. But yeah, going off of, like, my own feelings of the game.
Yeah.
Like, the world is kind of barren. Like, it's pleasant enough to look at. I get, if you're into the aesthetic, of course, which that's like another thing too. I didn't really much care for the aesthetic.
Neither. I'm not fussy about it usually, but I didn't like it.
It was too happy. It was like too happy.
Yeah. It was also like the same kind of thing. It's just like this one green color across the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, sure, like, for example, there's certainly the later Zelda entries like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. That's same kind of like out in the wild there. It is all very that happy bright colors, but it's all nuanced. You got all these different things there and different shades there, which is just like paint the whole canvas green kind of thing. And it's not even like a nice green. It's like this lime green kind of color. not lime green, but mint green.
Like a ton of different like pastel colors.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
you were right. I get that's essentially what it is. It's meant to have this happy feeling. I guess that's fine. But as far as like things to do, things to interact with,
Yeah.
very barren. There's like barely anything.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned in my review how it seemed like the game could open up to new areas.
Yeah.
Presumably after you get like a stegosaur,
Yeah.
since I'm guessing that's what will destroy the rocks.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt that very many people will stick around to get that far.
Agreed.
Like I was so we just got the achievement today to shovel your first like dino poop or something like that.
Okay.
And I think it was something only like 61.3% of people have ever got that achievement.
Oh, wow. So how far into the game is this, by the way?
Only like the first 2 hours.
Okay.
Now, is that common for a lot of games? I think yeah.
So. Particularly ones in the bundles and stuff, right?
Right, exactly. But people aren't seeing those new areas at all. But yeah, and then just all that just kind of extends to the game as a whole. Like it's all just like kind of boring. Like the townsfolk, they weren't really interesting. They had nothing interesting to say.
Nope.
The farming sim activities were either non-existent or like very vanilla. Yeah, and then just like I said, like the world, like after that first glance, it feels very empty. Like they could have went all like, I mean, I know that's not really quite the angle they were going for, but I'm just thinking like they could have went all like Dinotopia on this.
Yeah.
And like dinosaurs are like, just like intrinsically linked to society and things like that, and it could have been so cool. And it's just like, no, they're just like our happy friends.
We're here.
Yeah. I can't help but feel like this had to have been made for a kid, right? This had to have been made for a kid.
It definitely is. Very, like, certainly younger range as well.
Right. But yeah, like, obviously, so the highlight of the game is the dinosaurs, and I thought they had, like, a cool idea with the flute to be able to, command or befriend the dinos, so that was kind of neat. The book that they had, the journal, was kind of like a good way to, like, you use it later on to analyze your dino's needs and stuff like that, and that was nice, I guess. But, at the end of the day, none of that is really groundbreaking. Like, we've kind of seen things like that before with animal rearing in other farming sim titles, really. Like, it's not that crazy of a mechanic, like with the flute or something like that. And I think at the end of the day, the game's sole selling point is, and reason to play, is because you find the dinosaurs cute.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to cut it, I think, for a lot of people, unless you're a 5-year-old, in which case you will love this game.
Yes.
But otherwise, yeah. Like, after playing it again for another hour, I think I would be very comfortable in putting this in Don't Bother With.
That's it for this month's episode of Humble Talk. If you've gotten to this point in the video and you haven't done it already, what are you doing? Go and hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to watch more videos on games for PC, then go check out Stealthy Shiroean's channel. If you want to watch more videos for Steam Deck, then make sure to search for Deckhead. That's my channel. Whether you're specced out or decked out, keep it humble.